How did it feel to get back out there again?
You know, it felt amazing. You know, I'd like to pride myself on being a team player, just doing everything I can to help the team be successful. And, you know, obviously there's a slight role of that on the sideline, but there's nothing like being out there and really feeling like you're contributing to the team's victory. So on the sideline, it's frustrating, not feeling like you're doing everything you can do to help the team be successful. So being out there on Saturday and really feeling like I was a part of the victory felt great.
Andrew, is part of that coming to the realization that you healthier is better for the team? So maybe you have to get it in your mind that sitting out is the best thing. And how hard is it to come to that term?
Yeah, exactly. You know, unfortunately, you know, at that point, Coach Han was putting the 5 best guys out there, and I understood that, and I understood that. You know, he kept saying, "Listen, don't get frustrated. This is what we have to do right now, and you'll be back in no time." So he said, "Don't focus on that right now. Just focus on getting healthy and getting back out there." But I was definitely pleased that when I could come back, Coach Han felt like I was one of the 5 best to ever be out there.
So it looks like you and Manch now have switched a little bit. Did you kind of talk him through this and tell him this is what I had to do, this is how I kind of kept my mental sanity while out on the sideline? Have you guys bounced any advice off of each other?
You know, I actually think Ange has handled it very well. I think better than I probably handled it in the beginning, and I think that just comes with his experience. You know, he's an older guy, he's been through a lot, and obviously he said it was difficult for him to miss, you know, one of his last games here at Beaver Stadium. But you know, I think he's doing a great job handling it, and I think he was enjoying, you know, understanding the calls and being able to help from a different perspective.
Andrew, when you first went down, did you fear that it was going to be worse and miss more time than it was? Because it looked pretty serious right when it happened.
I think I was just upset at the fact that we didn't have the opportunity to score there at the end, more than anything. But no, I didn't have any real fears. Obviously, at that point, I knew I had done something, and from there on out, it was just getting back.
Hey, Victor, they're having a hard time hearing Andrew. Can you jack up the sound a little bit?
Hey, Andrew.
Yeah.
Good. How are you?
Good.
James mentioned, so maybe it's okay for you too, the game at Ohio State 2 years ago. What impact, if any, does the recent history against Ohio State to the last 2 years play into this game?
Well, I think, you know, the game 2 years ago, I was there, I didn't play, but I traveled. It just, and if you talk to Hack, he'll say the same thing. If you talk to anybody that played, then it's a very hostile environment. Much like Beaver Stadium probably is for, you know, our opponents. But that's something that going in, we really understand that. This is a very hostile environment. It's going to be loud. It's going to be an awesome atmosphere under the lights. It's going to be a packed house. So I think just understanding that helps us, especially this week in practice, understanding that communication is going to be even more key this week than it ever has been.
To kind of follow up on that, and keeping in mind that Herb and a lot of your teammates have described you as a very nice guy, how do you embrace maybe being the bad guy and being hated? I mean, can you use that? Can you use that to your advantage?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that stems from Coach Han. You know, Coach Han, he really ingrains that in the offensive line, is to just play nasty and, like you said, be the bad guy out there. And I think that's something that we're definitely all embracing. You can be, you know, the nicest guy in the world off the field, but once you get on the field, you have to do whatever it takes to make your team successful. And obviously, we know we're hated by the Ohio State community, but we have a great opportunity this weekend to go in there and play to the best of our ability.
You talked about that opportunity. I asked James about this, but how much do you look at the opportunity of playing a #1 team? Is it any different than any other game you're playing?
You know, obviously, each week we're just focused on being 1-0 that week. And after this game's over, we'll be focused on being 1-0 the next week. But obviously, it's even more of an opportunity because, like you said, you're playing the #1 ranked team in the nation at their place, under the lights, 8 o'clock. So the opportunity obviously is huge, but every win is just as important as the other.
Andrew, the last few games, Ohio State's really allowed, you know, pretty much every team to hang in there. When you guys see that does that give you more confidence? Does that give you a boost, or is that something that you just don't pay attention to?
I think obviously there's a part of that looking at their film and watching them, we understand that we can move the ball on them offensively, and we can definitely stick with this team. We don't fear anybody, and the Big Ten is full of great opponents this year. So that's what really makes it the opportunity special. Is they're a great team, but we know if we play to the best of our ability, we can be successful.
Anything else for Andrew?
James talked a lot last week about behind-the-scenes stuff that we don't see that you guys do and those kinds of things. What can you tell us about Christian Hackberg behind the scenes that maybe we don't see as far as competitor, leader, those types of things?
Mm-hmm. Well, Hack, number one, like you said, Hack is an unbelievable competitor. I don't think everything he's ever done, I'm pretty sure he's always wanted to be the best at it, from what I can see. But Hack takes on that role as an offensive leader and as a team leader very well. You always see the guy after practice working with people and just putting extra in, whether it's film or no matter what it is. And, that's something that makes him a special player. And that's true about our entire team is you have a lot of guys on this team doing everything they possibly can to be the best. You talk about a guy like Carl Nassib. I think that guy's in the weight room probably more than any person I've ever met, and especially on this team the last couple of years that I've been here. So that's definitely something that's just kind of the driving force of our team is just doing extra.
Talking about Nassib, I guess he's a guy that's gone through a big-time physical transformation since he's been here. Can you remember maybe the first time you lined up against him, had to keep him off of somebody? Maybe the last time you have dating, as close to this moment as possible.
No, absolutely. The first time I went against Carl was obviously my freshman year. And the year previously, he had redshirted, so he was on scout team and stuff like that. And no one really had much to say about Carl Nassib at that point, but I remember thinking, this guy's pretty hard to block. No one's really talking about him or anything, but he's a pretty good player. And you just saw that development continue each year, and that a lot comes from Carl's mentalities. Carl literally does everything he can to be the best, and that's paid off for him. And you could see that transformation year to year. To the point now where you're in practice and you're going up against Carl, you're going, no, I got Carl now. You know what I mean? So he's a great player, and it's a credit to his mentality.
Huge. I mean, that's one of our main goals as a defense every week, really, is to stop the run. It's always the number one goal. Because when the team's able to establish the run, I think that allows them to be able to take more shots down the field. And with a team like Ohio State, who has the speed that they have, at the receiver position, it's something that they do well. They're able to throw the ball over a lot of guys' heads, and we haven't really seen a team this year who's really tried to throw the ball over our heads. So it's going to be a unique challenge this week. So stopping the run, and Ezekiel, Elliott, Curtis Samuel, a lot of those receiver slots who even come inside and play running back is going to be huge this week.
Hey, Jason, Braxton Miller's a guy that you can look like you have him wrapped up, and then he's 15 yards behind you. And what is sort of, you haven't had to do it yet this year, but what do you kind of do to prepare for a guy that you might think that you have and then suddenly he's somewhere else? Yeah,
I mean, Braxton's a guy who's slippery. I mean, he's very dynamic. I mean, we saw what he was able to do just a couple of years ago, kind of tearing it up. Definitely a guy you gotta kind of track the hip. I mean, he's slippery. It's a guy who pursuit is going to help. Getting 5, 6, 7, all 11 guys to the ball. When he has the ball, it's going to be huge. Make drastic cuts and kind of all that kind of stuff. But it's going to take a lot of effort, as it always does, and pursuit from the rest of the guys to kind of contain a guy like that.
Hey, Jason, Ohio State right now is the #1 team in the nation. I'm just curious, how much do you guys relish that, and what kind of statement do you think you'll maybe be able to make this weekend?
I mean, it's awesome. It's a unique challenge. That's why we came here, to be in big games against the #1 team in the nation. I think it's a unique challenge, something we're very excited about. It's going to be a great environment over there. And it's something we're going to be able to overcome and be 1-0 this week. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to prepare this week, as hard as we can so we can be 1-0 at the end of the week. So, very excited.
After the game Saturday, James said he wanted 3 hours of sanity before he started talking about Ohio State.
Yeah.
When did you guys as a team, coaches, start really putting the focus on the Buckeyes this week? Was it Saturday night? Was it Sunday morning?
No, I would say it was probably, Sunday. towards the end of practice there. Sundays we come in and, we watch our film, kind of make our corrections, all that kind of stuff. And then we really put that, aside, put the win aside and kind of focus on the next team. That's kind of what we did with Indiana, Ohio State. We kind of made our corrections, watched film, and then kind of focus turned to Ohio State, and Indiana became kind of the pass. So.
Jason, have teammates told you anything about playing in the horseshoe? Have you talked to them about it, or what the atmosphere's like?
Yeah, I hear the atmosphere is awesome. I personally have never been there, but I hear the environment there is really cool. I think playing in Beaver Stadium 5 weeks in a row really prepares us for that, because our environment is awesome as well, So it's going to be a great challenge. I think playing in Beaver Stadium all these weeks has made our communication what it needs to be for those kind of environments. So I think we'll be ready in that aspect.
Anything else for Jason?
How about Jason, getting Brandon Bell back last week, how much did that help, and how important is he against these types of athletes that you'll be playing this week?
Yeah, Brandon Bell is a guy who really elevates his game, and especially in big games like this. He makes a ton of plays. He's a guy who's a high energy guy. I think the energy he brings to the defense is very crucial. He's a guy who's very comfortable and relaxed. I think that kind of is a tribute to kind of his experience on the field. He's very relaxed. He's been in that big game, a lot of times. So I think he's never scared of the big stage. So I think that helps for the confidence of the guys around him, especially the younger guys, who really haven't been in these big games just yet. So it's very crucial getting a guy like Brandon Bell back.
Jason, James talked about some similarities between preparing for Indiana and preparing for Ohio State in terms of their quarterbacks and their offense. What does that mean to you guys, and how can that help you guys moving forward?
Yeah, I think they're similar in the sense of their tempo. I think both offenses are pretty, fast offenses. I think they run a lot of plays. I think at the quarterback position, both teams had runners. Cardale's a runner, JT Barrett's a runner. JT is kind of beginning to establish himself as a red zone threat there. So I think they definitely have a lot of similarities, and that could definitely, transfer over to this week in our preparation as well, and kind of help us out there.
Jason, I think Ohio State was your third game last year, if I remember right. What do you remember from that?
Yeah. October. It was an awesome game. It was a wideout. 7 o'clock prime time. National television, just like what we're gonna have this week. It was an awesome game. It was really exciting. Had a lot of people here. Sold out and all that kind of stuff. Exciting. It was really exciting. We had a lot of fun that game. It didn't come out on the right side of the ball like we had wanted, but I think it's going to be that kind of game again. It's going to be a fight. It's going to be a battle of the fronts, and it's going to be a physical game. I think we're ready, and we're really excited about it.
Hey, Jason.
How you doing?
Good. James mentioned this is a great year for the Big Ten. Are you a Big Ten football fan? Do you watch other games? Have you seen some of the, Michigan last week or some Ohio State games? Just watching them on TV, not the films.
Yeah, a lot of the Big Ten, teams this year are faring pretty well so far. To me, honestly, I just like watching good football. I love watching good defensive football. Kind of see what other teams are doing as well, and sometimes rally that over to Coach Shoup and kind of talk to him about it. But yeah, the Big Ten teams are doing pretty well this year. I think we have maybe 4 teams that are in the top 25 right now. So yeah, that's definitely, I think they're doing a good job. And a lot of those teams are teams we're going to be facing down the road as well. So we're excited for all that.
Jason, going off what you just said about watching good defensive football, maybe talking to Coach Shoup about it a little bit, if you couldn't pick yourselves, which team in the nation do you think is playing the best defense?
Wow, good question there. Michigan's playing pretty good defense right now. I think they have a lot of good athletes, on that side of the ball. But I wouldn't pick any of the guys. Our guys are. I would die for the guys that played to my right. And I think everyone on the defense would say the same.